Welcome to our podcast, JAJA Talks. I'm Julie Albert, founder of the This is JAJA platform, a global movement of freelancers, practitioners, and visionaries who believe it's time for something radically new. And this space is for you. It doesn't really matter if you're on a healing path, exploring who you truly are, or if you're a therapist or a teacher trying to navigate the complexity of holding space in today's world. It could even be the case that you're a team leader or an entrepreneur ready to build a purpose-driven team or business with soul, depth, and integrity. At JAJA, we work across borders. We work across sectors and disciplines combining trauma healing, the latest science, somatics, human design, self-development, systemic work, leadership, and even ancient wisdom. We speak English, but you'll also hear some episodes in Dutch because transformation is multilingual, and also because our platform is international. And also because we love to do things a little bit our own way. We are not here to patch up the old system. We are here to create the new. So if you're ready to reconnect with your unique blueprints, heal old wounds, lead with clarity, and live your truth, welcome to JAJA Talks.
Movement is basically 24/7. The moment you wake up, you start doing something. I'm 43. I'm training handstands. I'm playing with stuff. I'm stronger now than I was at 30. So that's a good thing to have. I'm super grateful that I can still move the way I move today. Would it be easier if I started early? Yeah, hell yeah, I was probably a handstand specialist by now. But it doesn't matter. I'm super happy and grateful that I can still do the moves I do today as I do it. It could have been worse. So be grateful. Let's move. Go. Don't stop.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of JAJA Talks. And today we're going to talk about everything that has to do with movement around health, mental health, movement beyond fitness, longevity, sustainability. And we're going to have that conversation with Burak. Hi, Burak, and welcome to the conversation.
Hi, Julie. Thanks for having me here.
Yes, of course, of course. I think maybe the first question would be that if you would introduce yourself to somebody who has no idea who you are and also no idea what you do, what would you tell those people?
It's a good question. Just before I start answering this, it's one of those questions that we often get in the movement world. What is movement? So first, just to start it, my name is Burak and I'm a movement coach. But then we come to the part, what is movement? And it's actually something that's very hard to answer in there is no elevator pitch of a movement coach. Let's say it like that. It's too broad. It's everything that has to do with physical movement, but sometimes it also has to do with stillness. Even stillness is movement. So if you take the popular sports, if you take boxing, gym, CrossFit, Pilates, yoga, all those sports, it's like we are going in between. We take whatever we need from all kinds of disciplines. We stack it up, take the best stuff and leave all the rest we don't need out of it. And then we combine it. And then it depends on which way you want to go with your journey. Let's say it like that.
Okay. So, and you're talking about, okay, we want to combine the best of different worlds. So we leave behind what's unnecessary and we take what is best out of boxing and Pilates and all those things. What's the goal here? Why do you work like that as a movement coach?
Well, it's because I don't want to be a boxer. I don't want to be a dancer. I don't want to be specialized in one stuff. I want to be more like a generalist, take all the things that I think is interesting for me in certain periods in my life. I take it, I use it, I train it a lot, and then sometimes I let it go. But I'm not going to train to become a boxer to go in a boxing match, for example, or to dance to go in a performance. But I want to explore all those styles because it's just healthy.
I hear you say a lot of phrase about like movement beyond fitness, because I know that you use principles like functional movement, also martial arts, even animal movement. Can you explain a little bit to the audience what you mean by that, like movement beyond fitness?
Well, it's actually very simple. When you go to the gym or to any other training, you go 1 time, 2 times, 3 times a week for 1 hour and a half. When I say movement beyond fitness, that it's like, for me, movement is basically 24/7. The moment you wake up, you start doing something. When I'm in my kitchen cooking, I'm always doing something. When I'm brushing my teeth, you will most of the time see me balancing on one leg or doing some kind of weird stuff with my spine, just because I want to stay in movement. So I'm training for life. I'm training for, actually, the best way to explain it, like when I am 70, 75, 80, I still want to tie my shoelaces without needing 6 attributes to get to my shoes, you know. So it's a good way of, it's a mind shift in how you see physical movement. Like, it's just
Yes.
for life.
I actually love what you say here, and I think that this is maybe becoming a little bit more clear to the people who are listening as well, is that movement actually starts from the moment that you get up until the moment that you go to sleep, because we all know that physical activity is super important for your physical health, your mental health, for longevity, but maybe we have some like misconceptions of how movement should look like and how we should go about it. And I remember from your last workshop with Dan around movement snacks and digital balance, is that actually you can like implement certain nuggets just throughout the day. Also the example that you gave when you're brushing your teeth, for example, or maybe when you're doing the dishes, that you can actually, doesn't matter how busy you are, or it doesn't really matter how fit you are, that you can start to implement movement and be conscious of that in a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, 100%. So that's what I like. Well, that's not what I per se like, but when you say what is movement, so I can give you like this basic answer. This is what we do. We go from there. But while we'll having this conversation, movement for people will be more clearer. Just like we started to talk about movement for life, having all those little tweaks. And that's what's super interesting, is that we are always sitting. Sometimes I even start my conversations like, what do we lack in life? When we start to think about, we wake up, and by the time you go to your work, if you, for example, work in a desk, have a desk job, just think about what you do from the moment you wake up until you go to sit in your chair,
Mm-hmm.
and just count how long you moved. You will be surprised.
I'm actually quite curious, Burakis. How did you end up here? Why did you become a movement coach?
Well, that's also something very interesting. I was physically very inactive for a long time, but when I was young, I was very active. I was really like running around. I was always outside playing football, always somewhere in a square or in a park. I was playing with my friends. Then for a long time, I was not so active physically, but my mind was always like, move, do something, you know. And then I started to play with some small movements, some martial arts. I did some Chinese martial arts, self-defense martial arts specifically. Then I was into some Russian martial arts, because the most interesting parts of the 2 martial arts that I was reading a lot about was, one of them was working on around biomechanics, how to use your body to defeat a bigger opponent without using a lot of force, and also the philosophy behind it. And the Russian martial arts is actually based a lot on breathing and how to use your breath to move and to relax. Even in strength training, never stop breathing. So that's actually what started my journey as a movement coach, and I didn't even know it yet until I found the movement culture that is actually popularized by Ido Portal. I saw a video on YouTube, and he was crawling on the floor, doing all this cool stuff. And I was like, yeah, that's it. That's what I need. It's like an addition, you know, on what I was already doing. And slowly I started to train, go to workshops, did some online courses, which I'm still doing, by the way. It never stops.
True, it never stops because you need to keep on like learning, and you already have like a strong foundation, of course, but it's a never-ending story, when it comes to that.
It's endless. It's endless. And I think I'm still like in the beginning of of the mountain, you know. It's like I still have so much to learn. Some things I might never be able to learn, but it doesn't matter, I think. It's just about doing it, trying it, having fun along the way is also a very important thing we stop developing. So it's a good one.
You're pinpointing something very interesting here, because like a couple of weeks ago we had a conversation where you were like, I do feel that we should implement more fun and play into movement, because for a lot of people movement is actually like a chore that needs to be done, and a lot of people don't really like it and maybe even quit it. So I was wondering, what is your approach on this, on how to make movement maybe a little bit more light, like it's not really a task that you need to do. How do you implement fun and play into the movement world?
You can do that in so many different ways, Julie. It's amazing actually. Going to the gym, a lot of people just don't want to do that.
I don't like
Honestly,
that.
yeah, it's boring sometimes. Like it's nice. It has its time and its place to go to the gym, lift some weights, do some heavy stuff. But there's like this emotional burnout that some people also have. Actually, more people have it than they realize. When they're trying to go heavier and heavier, there is something like an emotional burnout. But when I say play, there is like you can play tag. You can take a tennis ball, you can bounce it against the wall, you can start learning how to juggle, play with sticks, play with partner work. That's also a very interesting one in my classes. It's very interesting how people start to interact, how they start to enjoy, how they start to laugh, how they start to introduce themselves to each other. What's your name? That's me. And then they start to play with the sticks, with some other sticks, hand-eye coordination exercise. A lot of dynamic strength work that I also do with partner work, which is also very fun. So what I mean with fun is like we stop doing that. We go to the gym, everybody puts the headphone in, they lift their weight. In between sets, they're on their phones, texting left and right, and there's no social context anymore, and there's no fun. It's very serious.
So let's say that somebody is very resistant towards like going to the fitness or doing like high intensity training, and is like, okay, I want to improve my health by doing more movement, but I don't know, I want to do it at home or maybe outside. How can people like go about their days so that they can actually start to implement maybe like small nuggets into their day, instead of like say, okay, 3 times a week, I need to do like 2 hours of high intensity training? How can they like start to implement more like little nuggets into their days?
Depends on the goal. I think is important. If some people say like, I want to get stronger, but I don't want to go to the gym, you can start implementing, for example, if you're at home or if you're at work, you take one exercise like a push-up and you just do it once in a while. Just start with 3, more than enough. It's better than nothing. So if you're somebody that doesn't do anything, it's amazing, you know? And just build it up. Do it once an hour, once every half hour. And if you count up how many times you do it during a day, you will be surprised. Because strength-wise, it doesn't matter if you do 100 push-ups in 5 minutes or 100 push-ups in 24 hours. Actually, it's sometimes better. You won't have pain, you won't have emotional burnout, but you will still have the strength after a while. That's one thing. If you say like, I just want to start moving, I'm somebody who doesn't do anything, just start walking. Just like even go to the end of your street. If it's for some people, it's too much. Just walk until the end of the street. Do it once every 2 days, and you'll see maybe after a week you will go to the next street, or maybe you will start walking endlessly. So you have like endless options in starting to move. It
True.
even starts when you wake up, for example. You did it when we were talking before. You started to pandiculate, stretching out. That's something that I really like to do. It's something that for a long time, I realized I forgot I was doing in the morning, but it's actually a good natural reset of our system.
Can you repeat it? Can you repeat a word again?
And when you know, like this cat stretch, you see pendiculate. And it's a really nice thing to just like relax the nervous system. Just notice how you feel when you do it. It's interesting.
Exactly. I really love to get up in the morning to put on some African music or some dance hall and just start dancing. Because
That's a
even
good
when you're
word.
like tired, or maybe you woke up at the wrong side of the bed and you wake up like this, even if it's 5 minutes or one song, then it already really helps and gets everything flowing again.
Yeah, music is a very interesting topic. It's been a while. I saw this short documentary about twin sisters, and they were waking up and they were doing like a test, and one of them was listening to positive music, and one of them had to listen to some really dark, energetic music, like heavy metal and very negative, or not per se negative of heavy metal. And they followed them during the whole day, and there was like a huge difference in how their mood was.
Hmm.
So it starts with all those small tweaks.
Yeah, and I have to say, since the workshop from you and Dan, every time when I take like a break, I do like 10 squats. But yeah, at the end of the day, I did, well, I don't know how much, but I'm not counting it, but I did like a couple of squats at the end of the day. So
That I like to hear that, because I say to a lot of people who come training in my studio on my one-on-one sessions, or even in my group classes, like, it's nice, we can do everything here. I can give you all the exercises you want. It's fantastic. But for me, what's more important is what do you do outside of the studio?
mhm.
And these small tweaks and adaptations in their life you hear it. It's positive. It's even if it's only one exercise, you feel much better. And the fact that you implement it, it's like your own, like it's for your own goal, and it's good for you.
Yes, I was actually wondering to like come back a little bit on the movement beyond fitness. It's like movement is more about changing a little bit your lifestyle, on how you move throughout the day, how you can maybe like change your posture, like doing little exercises here and there. I was actually wondering like what are like the main advices that you give your clients who come like in the beginning? How do you advise them to work with that, not like in your sessions, but outside the sessions?
Yeah, it's a combination of things. So in the sessions, we start moving around. We do a lot of mobility work. We do a lot of like physical strength with locomotion, we call it. It's a combination of animal movements with martial arts and dance and more actually than that. And then I start to see like, oh, wait, what did you do with your feet? Or why did you hesitate there with your knee or with your hip? And then start the second conversation. Like, yeah, actually, I used to have this injury here on my knee. I still feel it, but it's better. Okay, it's interesting. Let's check it out. And then I start, how do you place your foot? How is your knee on top of your ankle? How is your hip? And then we start to work with actually what is like the postural correction, which is something that I have been diving deep into since I think more than 6 months now, because it did help me with a knee injury that was recurring. And then you have two ways on working on postural correction, let's say it like that, because it's not like rocket science, it's not like I need to put you like this, and don't walk different, but then you start to see we have to stack our body in the right way to move. And sometimes we can do it by having exercises where you reprogram the body, literally by putting you on one leg, putting you in one position, and then you start to see the shake in the legs. And then it's difficult, it's intense, it's super intense because it's very static and you're like shaking like, like this. And what I like to do with a lot of people is I like to reprogram the mind also. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, this is how I put my feet. This is how I put my hip over my ankles. This is how I stack my body. And I just repeat that in the sessions. And I repeat it so often that it's very interesting that almost everybody that I worked with, I think actually everybody, comes back and says like, yeah, ever since you said that, I'm noticing how I put my feet, how
Mm.
I try. Sometimes I forget it, but that's the good thing about these exercises. Even when you forget and you have this, oh, wait, let me do it. That also is like a win, like doing the self-scan and repositioning yourself.
I really love what you're saying, because it's not necessarily about the movement itself and getting a better physical health, but also helping people like reconnect to their body. Because a lot of people do sports, they have a nice trained body, but they're so disconnected from their posture, what it is that they sense in their body when they... So actually this is also a way to reconnect to your system, to your being.
Definitely, because we live in a culture where everything needs to be fast. Fast, fast, fast. I go there, I need to do my grind, I need to do the work, I need to sweat, and then I need to feel it, and sometimes it's sad because there is a time and a place to have that also, but the deep internal work is actually, for me, where the real change happens. And that's something we are overlooking. And I see it a lot with my clients also, people coming in from all kinds of disciplines. And once we start to go deep in mobility and flexibility and starting to move over the floor, you see the flaws. But flaws, I mean, sometimes you have like a gym bro, coming with all the muscles, trained, lifting everything, and then we do something on the floor and his whole system collapses.
Interesting.
It's super interesting. That doesn't mean like I don't lift so much, so give me the same weight he does, I'm probably not going to be able to push it. But it's easier. I prefer to work from the inside out than from the outside in, let's say it like that.
Yeah. And can you explain it a little bit more? Because you talk about like deep work, about internal work. What do you mean by that?
Well, for example, one of the things that I like to do, which I experimented a lot on myself, is I train in slow motion sometimes. It's also high intensity, but you're just doing one move and you're just doing it as slow as possible. If you want it or not, you're going inside. And then you start to feel whatever you didn't even know, like muscles, fibers moving that you didn't even realize you had. Why I like this kind of training is when I do some movements where I have to lift one hand up or one leg up, if you do it fast, it's easy. Well, depends on how you do it, because you have different levels, But when I do it slow, I have to go to the most basic version of that exercise because I can't lift myself up in that speed, in that tempo. Then you start to feel like, oh, wait, how do I lift my foot up without making it like flying it up? Just like lifting it off softly from the floor. And then you start to feel like, oh, yeah, this muscle is engaging. This is interesting. And you're all on your hands upside down, and one foot is starting to move, and you start to feel different kinds of thing. Your breathing is becoming very interesting. You're not thinking about anything else than that specific move that you're doing. It's like you're really going into the moment, which is very interesting in the way you feel when you do these exercises.
So I really love that, because I noticed that there is some overlap between what you do and what I do, is that you want to bring people back to the present moment and you want to focus on the felt sense. So while I'm doing this, what do I notice in my body? So for you, it's definitely like, okay, which muscles do I feel here? How is my breathing? Those are actually also things that I focus on during my sessions, not oriented towards like movement. I don't make my clients like go and lay on the floor and be like in a monkey position or something, but it's very, very interesting to see this overlap here. So it's not only about posture, it's not only about training your body, but also about the relationship that you have with your system and about bringing yourself back to the present moment.
Yeah, and sometimes it's very difficult to do that when you're training.
Exactly.
But in this type of exercise, you have no choice. You're on your hands, your whole weight is on your hands, on your wrists, and you need to go from point A to B. And it just forces you to go in that moment. You have no choice to feel whatever you need to feel. It's super interesting.
For which people do you advise this type of, how would I say, for which type of people would you actually really recommend this type of movement principles?
Well, for me, the easy answer is everybody, but that would be not the correct answer because there are people who are older who also want to move. And it's very difficult to put somebody who's 70 in that position. It's just a fact. There are people who can do it. That's not the problem. You can adapt the exercise. The second version would be like maybe neurodiverse people, because like as a neurodiverse person, I know how it is to like scatter your brain all over the place. This is an amazing exercise just to bring everything back. In general, Julie, I think most people that I see can benefit of it. Almost everybody, unless there is like you can't. Like unless you're like restricted because of age, because of physical problems. I think this is a good experiment for everybody that can do it.
Yeah, because when I think about myself, so during physical exercise, I can disconnect quite a lot. So I disconnect from my system entirely just to get the job done. So I can finish my exercises, so I can finish what it is that I'm doing. But also sometimes, for instance, like boxing, I really like that. But then due to the fact that I, for instance, have an autoimmune disease and there's like some trauma categories that I'm still like going through. So for me, actually, sometimes moving too hard and too fast for a little bit too long can how do you say that in English? Can make my symptoms of my autoimmune disease can make it worse. So for instance, that like the day after, and especially the day after, I feel like I'm going to have a flu or something.
Yeah, that's something that I think is an interesting topic, like going fast, especially in the CrossFit community. I think they're number one in that, and that's high speed, high intensity. Let's go, let's go, let's go. More, higher, higher, higher. And then you have the board and everybody is like writing their number. And like I said, it has its time and its place. So you will probably hear me say this a lot. But the problem is, it's not the only way. I think we should make a combination of going more like sometimes have this intensity, but deeper work, relaxing, doing the high intensity like I did in the slow motion, working on breathing, working on hand-eye coordination exercises, playing around with some rope flow, which is very interesting stuff, playing with some ancient training. Like I like to play a lot with steel mace, which is an ancient way of training. And it's fun. It's just fun for me. When I do it, it's fun. So it's not always like I need to take my bar and I'm going to lift more weights every time. I actually stopped caring about how much weight there is on my bar. I just lift it, and if I can, I lift it up. If I can't, I just drop it and I put it lower, or like lighter or more. So it all depends on how I feel. And I think that's maybe what we're tackling here is like, try to listen to your body. It's interesting. You know this, you know that you have an autoimmune disease. Then if you train intensely, that you will have to pay a price for it for a couple of days. So it's better to be prepared and to combine multiple kinds of trainings where you're also more kind to yourself instead of always grinding.
Yeah, it's almost like you need to like rethink and reframe like the culture of how we look at movement. And I think that okay, for a lot of people, like if you take like the general population doing this type of exercise, it will work. Yeah, but you also have like a lot of people who are for some reason very scared to connect with their body, scared to move, that their body goes into like a certain survival response. That some people for some reason have a very negative relationship with movement, so they unconsciously try to avoid it as much as they can. So I think that your approach is a very good way and a very good entry point for all these people, especially people who have chronic stress patterns, people who have unresolved trauma, people who have chronic pain, and all of these things.
Yeah, the body doesn't lie.
Mm-hmm.
And I made a post recently about this. Sometimes you see in an exercise somebody hesitating, for example, and then the conversation goes to, I have an injury here. Then this injury is apparently from, I don't know, 5 years ago. And still that person has trouble to move in that spot. So those are the things that I really am interested in. So when I discovered that in a training session, I don't say it directly, but I try to trick the brain of the practitioner in that moment to go into that one position that I know he or she is struggling for many years. And then suddenly I'm like, hey, do you see what you're doing? Yeah, I didn't notice it. It's because it's all here. It's in the mind. There are moments where it's not like it's really physical that you have to find a workaround. But a lot of times it's because there is this stress factor, this pain, that the pain will come back and people stop doing one move because like, oh, what if I had it? I mean, I'm speaking of experience here. And then I had to trick myself to keep on doing the move.
Yeah, I think that what you're saying is 100% valid, but I would even go further with that. I think that also on a neurobiological level, when people have an injury, even if they didn't like break anything or something, but if that was quite traumatic, then unresolved stuck survival energy is still in the system, and that people are having like still responses into their system that they need to hoe zeg je, afmaken, that they need to
They need to
that they need to finish.
resolve.
Yes, that they need to resolve, that they need to finish.
No, it's true. They need to resolve it or find a solution. So that's also super interesting. Like a lot of times I have some clients who came to me that after they were like, they had a baby and they want to start training again. Initially, the conversation starts with, I want to have a strong core because it's normal. They had also like a C-section. So that's where the core starts to get weak. So I understand the idea to have a stronger core. But then we start to work on moving around, talking about these subjects, about having the C-section, that the trauma, the body response on that surgery or on giving birth in general. Then you start to have this super interesting conversation with the person. And then after a while, you realize that we are completely off track of the initial point they came inside with. Like, I want to have a strong core because I had a C-section. Now we're just moving around and the strong core is coming. We're not even talking about it anymore. We're just doing everything that we planned because the exercise also gives like this lightness. Like people are more like relaxed when they finish moving around. It's not that we don't work on the core, but I just implement it here and there, you know? It's like integrated in the complete session, which is always fun. And then when people are having fun, it's a whole different dynamic. You forget a lot of stuff. Your body starts to relax. And that's also something very nice I see in a lot of my one-on-one sessions. People come inside completely stressed. And depending on the stress level, I change the whole 20 minutes of the program, the first 20 minutes, because I don't like to train people when they are
Good.
completely stressed. It doesn't make any sense for me to do that. So what I do is the first question I do, like sometimes I'm standing at the door looking how my clients are coming, and then I see from far how fast they are walking, you know, and then you can already see like, ooh, okay, let's see. And then the person comes in the door and it's like, how are you doing? Well, it's been stressful. Yeah, it's okay. Let's start. And then you start to go deeper and you start to assess which kind of stress the person has. Like there's no meter on it, you know, but it's just like try to feel it. And sometimes I completely change the whole structure and we only do relaxation exercise.
I heard you say earlier something about like hand and eye coordination. Can you explain a little bit more about it? How do you introduce that into your work and why?
Yeah, because it's, first of all, it depends on the exercise you do. It's really fun. I like to play with the tennis ball and boxing it on the wall, which is super difficult for me. So I need to focus on the ball, but at the same time, when the ball goes away, I need to punch it back. So if your hands is too soft, the ball is going to be like falling over the floor. It's very fun. And the reaction time you have to create to get the ball against the wall. And then we have rules, you know, you have to punch one time. And if you punch two times with the same hand, you restart. If the ball flies away, you restart from 0. I didn't get higher than 38, which took me forever.
So, and you say that it's very fun to do that, but what is the underlying mechanism like underneath it that is actually something that's good for you?
For me personally, in these times, I think it's amazing because we are always on our phones. So we're always focused on our screens. When we work with like this hand-eye coordination, we are more working also on the peripheral vision.
Yes,
One of the
exactly.
exercise I have is like just a simple stick exercise. I put it on my hand, like on my fingers. I try to balance it. There is a dot on it and I keep focusing on the dot and your eyes are becoming blur. And then we start, if once you have the balance of not dropping the stick, we start to play. I put my hand out and the person needs to look at the dot and has to try to tap my hand. And then we start to play like that. It's interestingly intense afterwards. In the moment itself, it's really for a lot of people, it's confrontational. Because it's just a stupid stick, it's like not even €1, for example. And you put it there and you're like, oh my God, this is so difficult. To train the stick and to keep it on the fingers is just an obstacle. And then you start playing and then you start doing it more physical, like you go lower so the person has to squat with the stick in the fingers. So it's a very interesting game to play with.
Actually, they use a lot of eye work in the somatic trauma world. I don't know if you know that.
I think I heard you speak about that, and it's the eyes is one of those things that really like it's very interesting because everything we see happens there, So we're always on our screens. When we're outside, you see all those people in cars passing by. So our eyes are, for me, the first contact of everything we have. And from there, I think it goes inside. And I did play an exercise like with some eye exercises, specifically only with eyes. I think it's very intense, but I do believe that there is a lot of healing that can be done through the eyes. But I didn't tackle it too much yet.
Okay. So you didn't deep dive into the eye movement world yet.
Not yet, not yet. I was reading a lot about it for a while and I was going to get a course, but the thing is I have so many courses. I was like, let's just wait a little bit with this one, but I'm going to get it. One day I'm going to get it.
What another interesting thing is that, and it's a while ago since we had that discussion, but when we were like talking about TMJ, it's like the tension that you can feel in your jaw, right? And that you were explaining to me like that there is actually a huge connection with the pelvis floor.
Yeah, I have seen that passing a lot, that there is a connection between the two spots. And ever since I read it, it's not that I went deep into that topic also. I read it and then I start to play with it because I like to play a lot with playing. I mean, I have a lot of spine exercises.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts also with the hips and it ends with the neck, So I'm always doing these waves and trying to find how it feels. And then you do the combination of the hips and of the pelvis and the neck. And then you start to feel like, okay, nice. And then you do some hip exercises and you feel like your throat is opening up and you're becoming more relaxed in your voice. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And then I go deep. And yeah, for me, I love to play with these stuff, I like to see like, okay, my voice is stuck today. Let's look around my hips. What did I do today? And then I start to search for a solution.
Yeah, it's like you can have a problem in your jaw, but actually, like the cause is in maybe your hips, and that's with everything a little bit in our body, right? Is this why you are working with the spine a lot, because this is the center, or how should I interpret
Our
that?
spine is one of the most important places in our body. Like if we break it, it's done. It's very complicated. It's very fascinating also, I think. Like, I think if you see the images, I think it's also very beautiful to see. I love it. And it's super nice because once you start to free up your spine, the more you move it around in all planes, it's interesting. It's like you become more relaxed. You can do like more pikes. You can have like, it's super nice. You feel it. It's becoming looser and looser, but you just have to do the work. For some people, probably it will go fast. For me, it took me some time. But when I move my spine around, if I even don't do it for a couple of days, I feel it immediately. I like to sit also, I like to hang around in my couch. So I need to do this because I want to do the other side also, That's it.
So maybe you can explain to people. A while ago, you gave me the advice that actually, if you go and hang on something like a bar, and you hang every day on that bar, even for like 2 minutes, it can really change a lot of things. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so there are, I think, a couple of things that's super interesting about that. There's a theory that I cannot explain because I'm not a doctor, but it's supposed to be very healthy for the shoulders. There's a whole book about this written by a shoulder doctor,
Shoulder
uh,
doctor,
shoulder doctor who wrote about it.
surgeon.
Surgeon, I forgot the word. Goddamn. Well, the shoulder surgeon who apparently had to cancel 70% of his appointments because before he puts the appointments of his clients so far, and he says, okay, we're going to do the surgery, but between now and then, I want you to hang every day on a bar. And 70% of his surgeries he had to cancel. Now, when I do it because I think it's fun. Again, because I like to brachiate like a monkey. I love that stuff. I'm probably gonna, maybe the next podcast, if we do one more, you will see a lot of stuff on my ceilings because I love it. It's amazing. It's good for your shoulders. I also think there's a lot of hidden strength in our shoulders. When we do pull-ups, for example, and if we engage our shoulders, we can have more like an easier pull-up because a lot of people come from the arms. But there is like this whole technique, but you need the loose shoulders, and also for the decompression of the spine. If you hang and you try to, and that's something very interesting, is when you hang, try to relax as much as possible. And if you're not alone, for example, try to ask your partner to put his hand on your back or on your lower back, and you will feel how much space there's still open.
And what do you think that like the benefits, and especially like the long-term benefits of that will be?
Like I said, it's again the spine and the shoulders. If your shoulders are loose, you will feel it. And if your spine is more decompressed, it's just you don't even need to like if you don't do it and if you just think about it, hanging all day and your spine is relaxing, like the feeling, like you can already feel it. I have one client, she's like a champion in hanging. From day one, I put her on the bar and she was like, oh my God. It was like she came into this meditative state and she can hang like for minutes without even forcing it. Like I had to work on reaching 3-4 minutes and she can do it from a natural stance. But the most beautiful part is she starts to relax in that position and you see like her body is elongating and the spine is getting longer, more juices are flowing in the spine. So it's really an amazing tool to play with, especially if you sit a lot. And if you ask me, if people want to integrate something during their work, for example, if you work from home, put a bar between your door or grab your door and just try to hang in between two males and just do it the whole day long, forever. I'm not going to say for 10 days, just do it forever. And you don't need to do it super long. Like if you pass and you do 15 seconds there, 15 seconds here during the whole day, you can gather minutes, half hour even if you just stack it up.
I mean, now that we're talking about it, and that's super interesting, I think that yeah, some people they have a desk job or they have to sit a lot, and then they get home and then they're super tired, and going to the gym is like too much of a barrier sometimes. But what are like maybe some tips that you can give them that they even can do on the work floor, like while they are working? So, and also maybe something that they don't embarrass themselves in front of their colleagues.
That's
But
impossible. I think that's a very interesting topic. Even more than what you're asking is if people who listen to this podcast and have like a desk job, where they are like, oh my God, I want to do something. I have a lot of pain in my shoulder, but my colleagues are gonna laugh with me. It's like be that person that changed their mind,
yeah,
because
be the person that
that's, yes,
changes the culture. Yeah.
because if you have pain and you know that you have a quick fix for it, that you can fix it at the moment because you know some exercise that works for you, just do it. Stop caring about other people because you're going to do this job until you retire. So think about your own body. I mean, it doesn't matter what other people think. And maybe, and that's the interesting part, maybe this is a conversation that people should start having on the work floor. Listen, people, we are always inviting these workshops with fitness coaches, movement coaches, Zumba this, Zumba that. It's super nice. It's good, you have to do that. But you cannot ask a whole bunch of employees to go 1 day a week in the company to do a yoga class. It will help in the moment. It's gonna help for sure. I mean, I love yoga. I mean, it's I love it. But it's about what can you do in between the
Exactly.
moment you step in your office and until you go home or you go to sleep.
These are like one of the pillars that we also are doing in companies on how can we like really support and help people a little bit with which little adjustments can I do during the day, during work, so that my team or that myself can elevate some pains and even prevent certain pains and that I can do this job for the rest of my life. So what are like maybe like a couple of tweaks that you can give to the listeners here that maybe are stuck on their chair a lot for whatever reason it is? Like how can they implement certain nuggets throughout their day?
Well, it depends. I think first of all you should, and this is something we all know, like we have the app on the phone, like in the watch, is stand up. If you feel you're annoyed on your chair, just stand up, walk around a little bit, even if it's for 20 seconds. There are a lot of spine works you can do, some soft work. I don't think it's not super easy. Like you can learn it pretty fast, but you do have to understand what you're doing because there's a lot of small tweaks that you can do. You could roll your shoulders. You can do what you did today. You can do just some squats, or you can be like the diehard and say like, I'm going to do a push-up or 3 every mail I send. And if you know you're sending a mail every 15 minutes, then you're going to do a lot of push-ups during the day.
Exactly. And even you can make a fun game out of it with your colleagues. It's like, okay, this is going to be the challenge of the week. Every time we send a mail, we're going to do like 2 push-ups or something, or I'm going to jump 1 time in the air. So it can be something quite fun. So it's sometimes you see like Susan in the corner, like suddenly like jump off her chair and then here somebody is doing like a sit-up and then okay, they just send an email. Oh, okay, she's taking a little screen break. So it's actually
a
quite funny.
productivity.
Yeah, exactly.
There are even I never met somebody who asked me that, but I know like from other movement coaches that they have clients who are so busy, who have like a company with 50 or 100 people, but they love to train movement, but they just can't go to the gym or to the studio where they can have a class. So they invite over the coach and he's like, listen, this is my company. I need you to tweak my whole space so everybody here can do something. And the guy just like received the budget and he installed gymnastic rings everywhere, sticks, tennis balls everywhere here and there. So you have a lot of things, even weights. You can put some weights and you can just start playing with those weights,
Yeah.
So
Also like the how do you call that, like that ball, like where you were like a child and you had like this bouncing ball that you can like sit on, but now you can also instead of sitting on a chair, sitting on that ball and just like move and roll a little bit. It's also very good for your pelvis.
Yeah, that's a good thing. The only thing is sometimes it's too soft and then you're like, your desk is here, then you start type. But those are the nice things to have. And I think for me personally, if you ask it to me, a company should invest in these things. It's good that they invest in workshop, but they should invest in small tweaks in the company. I know one of the CEOs, he was talking about that the guy I know is when the moment the CEO of the companies gets out of the elevator, by the time he gets to his office, he can probably do a couple of pull-ups. He can hang. He can play with some tennis balls at the same time. So that's a good tweak for that guy. And then he's training whenever he can in his office. He has a little space where he trains some real movement.
Yeah. So you see, it doesn't necessarily have to be big things. It's also about maybe take the stairs instead of the elevator or park your car a little bit further. Every time you get an email, you do a push-up. Every time you take a break, you do a squat and you make like a little challenge out of it with your coworkers, or you make a habit out of it if you work from home, for instance.
We don't talk about this stuff enough. I worked in an office, and the only thing I saw was people complaining about migraines, and I don't understand why I have a headache. People are in their screen, and I was like that. I was a champion in my forward head posture, you know. But I was like, the screens, the laptop's getting smaller every time, and you're like, and in the company I worked, we had so many programs. It was like, if you see it on the camera, look, if you look it from this side, this is what my computer sees, you know, me sitting like this. For 8 hours straight, it was driving me nuts. Especially me, like I know that I need to, I need to move around, and you can see it. It's really bad. People are getting smaller, hanging all day long in their chair, which is also good sometimes, but
Yeah,
not too much.
because I wonder if you start to implement certain things like that a little bit more. And I think it's a very important pillar in how to prevent also like burnout and to prevent like physical complaints or to alleviate physical and mental complaints because like the fatigue that comes with that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Will it change immediately? Probably not. But I think if you look at it physically, if you start implementing small tweaks here and there, and maybe the first week is going to be boring and it's going to be just a small thing. The second week, you're going to do more. Every week, like 1%, you know? And maybe that ball is going to start rolling for the person to eventually, after a couple of months, just like, you know what, today I'm going to go run after work. Again, some people are like motivate themselves like that.
Yeah, it's a domino effect, because when you, especially for people who, for whatever reason, don't really move a lot on a daily basis, I think that this is a very good beginning to start just implement, even while brushing your teeth, doing like a balance exercise every time you get like an email or you do this and taking the stairs instead of the elevator. And then it's like a domino effect because your body starts to have these experiences of victory, like I did it and it works and I feel self-accomplished, and then your body starts to crave a little bit more and more for that movement.
It's true. It's true. It's super important. I'm gonna give you an example of my brother. He had a lot of projects and he was working so much abroad that he had time to do some physical workout, but it was too much. From one meeting to another, from one project to another, it's like a lot. So he gained some weight, and now he's in between projects. And he said to me, I need to start moving again. And what's happened is I said, listen, just do some push-ups here and there, and let's see what happens in a couple of weeks. And he started with every hour, he put it on his Apple Watch. Every hour he has an alarm, and he does 10 push-ups. Now he does 10 push-ups and 10 crunches every hour. So I told him the second, and that's what I mean, like try to be creative, you know? He has a good system. Every hour he has one fix. So he knows he's going to do the whole day long, every hour a push-up, 10 push-ups and 10 crunches. Then I said, gift yourself a little bit between those times. Sometimes when you have time, just do some extra 10 push-ups or crunches. Now he's starting to run 3 times a week. He's doing it 2 months, and you can see the difference already physically. And he says, like mentally, he feels it also. Now he's starting to run more, but still does his crunches and his push-ups, and he's doing it constantly all day long.
This makes it sustainable, especially like on those days that you're like, for whatever reason, tired or stressed, and you
Yeah.
and then, that's that shame spiral of like you land into your couch instead of going to the gym, and then you feel like super bad and all of that. But when you start to implement like all of these nuggets throughout your day, that it's also very valid and also really, really helpful already.
Yeah, it helps you a lot. It helps a lot mentally. Doing 10 push-ups is not a lot. If you count it up, if you do it in the beginning, you might struggle a little bit. Do it easier, elevate it against the wall, start with 5 or 10. But just like, it's like you said, the reward. And in the beginning, it might be boring. You might be doing something you're not used to. But then, like I said, like my brother now, he starts to run again. Time, his push-ups, his crunches, and he will probably implement more small stuff going on.
I'm also like wondering, like, for instance, when you look at people with burnout or people with even chronic fatigue, like in general, people who are like tired, exhausted, depleted, what would you recommend to these people? Because I mean, we all know that movement is super important for people in this category, but it's oftentimes also the most challenging.
I think first of all, I think for these people, the most important thing that I can say is be kind to yourself and don't, for example, if you want to start running and you're physically tired and you have a burnout, like who said that you need to go and hit 5 kilometers in 2 days? Go to your starting spot, walk to your starting spot and look if you feel good. If you can, try to run, even if it's 100 meter. Stop, go back. Next day you go back, or every 2 days. Maybe you will run 200 meters. And before you know it, you're building it up, because it's this whole thing about, I mean, I like to know how long I run and how far I go. It's nice. I did 5 kilometers, I did 10 kilometers, but that's not sustainable in my opinion. Depends if you want to do marathons, you have to know it. But if you just want to run because you want to run, because it's healthy and it's good for your mind, just don't think about it. Just go run. Leave your phone at home sometimes. It can be nice. That's something is very difficult, even for me, to leave my phone and not listen to a podcast. Sometimes I do it very often. You will see me do an exercise without my phone. I do it on purpose. It's boring because we're used to have something constantly in our ears. Challenge yourself and be kind. Challenge yourself and kind at the same time. It's possible.
When you walked this journey yourself, so it started like with you being quite inactive and exploring the world of martial arts, then coming into the movement community and exploring like all different kinds of movement and all of that. What are like the benefits that you have like so far since you started this journey?
That's a very difficult one to answer, because I wish I could make you feel it, because it starts there. And even though I know I'm already flexible, I'm quite mobile, I'm quite strong, even then I surprise myself sometimes how much more space there is to grow. So I'm sometimes doing something and it feels good. And then suddenly I find a new exercise that like brings me to a different level, for example. And then suddenly I do the same exercise and it's like, oh my God, there's like a half a centimeter more space opened up or something. So it's super interesting. And the freedom you get in your system is what's so nice. And like I said, I wish I could make you feel, or like make the people feel how it feels sometimes. And I have my off days, I have days where I wake up and like, oh my God, what happened today? But the good thing is, like, I have some tweaks and some exercises, and the more you do it, the easier it gets to get into that relaxation mode. But we are still human, so I mean, we have to do the work. And
I'm not only talking for myself, because I noticed that a lot of people that we work with have a lot of sleeping issues. I know that you struggled with that also a lot in the past. And how can movement play a role, and how would that look like if you want to work on your sleeping habits, like your sleeping issues?
well, intense physical training is not so good for sleeping.
Okay. Because it gets you in this fight flight. Yeah.
Sometimes it did help me, but then it's like, oh, I'm going to do it again the next day. And then you do it and it's like the opposite. You can't sleep anymore.
I remember when I went boxing, it was always in the evening and I was like falling asleep, and then it was so strange. Then I just like boxed into the air.
It was in your system.
It was in my system, yeah.
There's one exercise that I really like. You can look this up. It's just the full body shake. Maybe there's another name. If you follow that, like online with somebody, I was doing that for a while. A long time ago, I did that, and I did it for 25 minutes with whole instruction on how to relax. To be honest, it's interesting because it's like your system really calms down in the evening.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Okay.
or not too intense, just like spine work, shaking on the floor, just lay down, put your legs up, just like relax. Even if you want to have like some time on your phone, for example, do it on the floor, laying back, and put your feet on
Yeah,
the floor, and just like you'll feel it in the shoulders, but it's better than your neck.
exactly. For some reason, I don't know why, but it always helps me to put something on my head when I cannot fall asleep. Is
Yeah, I
even
understand.
if it's like the back of my head or to put like a pillow on top of my head, it helps me to like, I don't know, like
Calm down.
down regulate a little bit and to be more in my body instead of in my head because I have like a lot of tabs that are still open in the evening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I think that's good. Like you have to find your own tricks, what
Mhm.
works for you.
Exactly.
Of course, we all know that if you sleep after you just put down your phone, it's always going to have an effect. And I'm also like, it's not like I'm the guru here talking like, don't put your phone in your hand anymore. I mean, I do it also, but I know at least there are some other things that I can do. And I feel it also. That's also something very interesting. Just to get back to your previous question, like, what
Mhm.
do you feel? The more you fix physical things like sleep and more freedom in your body, once you, for example, when I sleep too late now, I feel it immediately. And maybe, and that's the interesting part, maybe I always felt it like this, but I was just used to this. And now when I sleep bad, I feel what I have been feeling for a long time. So that's interesting how your body relaxes and changes like levels of stress or relaxation, and how you sleep, how you feel the next day.
Actually,
That's something.
sleep is so important. It's like the key to everything, and it's coming from like a movement perspective. What you do during the day, not just like one exercise before you go to bed, but what you do during the day will reflect in your sleep.
Yeah, and every movement coach I trained with always said the same: sleep is gold.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going there right now. Is
Mm-hmm.
like no screens in the bedroom. This is, I think, the next step that I'm gonna try to do it. And when I try, like, so those are the complicated things to do. It's the most difficult things in these times is to, when you're tired, just go to bed. Even if you're laying there in the dark looking to your ceiling, if you can see it at least, and just rest. Imagine like how we all go to sleep. Everybody, we all have the phone in the hand. I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to listen to a podcast. I'm going to listen to a meditation sound or something. And then I'm going to sleep. But we still have the machine in our hands, and we're still looking at it. In one way or another, it pops out and you're like, we all have it. So it's difficult. But I think it's relaxing, especially once you start to sleep better again. And then again, get to this level when you have the screen that you immediately feel it the next day. And maybe that will motivate you again to not have the screen next to you. It's a difficult one, I know, but we know it, and it's still not easy to do it.
Yeah. It is not easy to do that. And I'm actually happy, like Dan from our team, he's a digital well-being expert. And from him, we are like learning a lot of tips and tricks on how we can like be mindful when we're online. It's not necessarily about like detoxing, but how you can implement certain things into your lifestyle so you are more mindfully online, because screens are necessary in these times. It has a lot of benefits, but at the same time, it really disconnects us so much from the present moment and from our body. So we really need to be very mindful of how we use our screen. And it's not so easy because it's quite addictive. It's quite addictive.
It's a lot. I have been considering the last months. I was like, maybe it's time to close my socials. And the only the problem is, and you will know this for sure, is like, but that's where we get out a
Yes.
little bit of our message,
Yes,
But at
exactly.
the same time, it sometimes drains you because you're thinking like, "Oh, I'm going to put this online and maybe I will get more people to come and train with me so I can help." But that also drains you in a way. But at the same time, it's the only way. And that's maybe the trap, that we think it's the only way, but I'm not so sure if it's the
Mm-hmm.
only way.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I think about it, If it will give me more mental space, maybe, yeah, why not?
Yeah, it's also about, I think that we really lost this sense of like networking and connecting in real life. It's because it's so easy to do all of that online, but it became more and more difficult to also do that offline.
Yeah, because we're not used to it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm already like, you think it and like, what if I stop my social media? What if I don't use it anymore? Even though physically I know it's not there yet because I'm not used to it anymore, your brain starts to take over like, okay, I need to get more flyers. I need to go outside. I need to put it in. I need to go to events. I need to talk with people. I need to share and spread
Your
the word.
message. Yeah.
Yes. I'm like, but I'm not doing that right now because I have my social media and I think it's easy. I just put a video on it and it's out there.
Yeah. Well, I think this is always that his recommendation. It's not necessarily about like quitting that entirely, but also to start like using that a little bit more mindfully. And but I think that it's a challenge, to find that balance.
I think it's the first step for me personally is like you said, mindfully, and just try to use it like only put something on my social and then get off it.
Mm-hmm.
Just use it pure business wise,
Yes.
spread the message,
No doom scrolling.
and no doom scrolling. That's my next step.
Yes.
And if I can maintain that, I'm not going to close it.
Yeah. I mean, although I really love this topic, but we're sidetracking a little bit. I remember that there was a question. So we have an online community, and that there was a question in that online community for you. I just need to go and find it. Yeah, so there is this question revolving around the fact that movement is currently a very high topic on somebody's list. She has done all the inner work and realized that she needs to continue to do so, but she's really lacking like the energy and also know-how movements on what she should implement more and more in her day. So the willingness is there, but she's really lacking the energy because it seems like a super high mountain to do so. So all the tips and tricks are welcome in that regard.
I think, again, be kind to yourself. If you're tired, do small things, work on your spine, try to walk more, get up, do some squats, do some push-ups, spread it over the day. Don't make it so physically demanding. Like, I need to go to the gym. Sometimes alone, like for some people, even the fact that they think like, oh man, I need to go to the gym tonight is like messing up their day because they know I need to go. If I don't go, it's going to be bad. But during the whole day, like, oh my God, I need to train tonight and I'm going to have pain in my
And I'm
muscles.
tired
And I know,
and I
and
don't
I'm
want to be
tired.
stiff and yeah.
Yes. So that's what I mean. Be kind to yourself. And if you implement this, spread the whole thing. It's called Grease the Groove, by the way. It's from, I learned it from Pavel Tsatsouline. There's a very interesting podcast about this, who speaks about this. It's like the Pomodoro method also, when you study every so many times, take a break, but just move every so many times, do some movement. You will feel less pain. Yes, that's it. Even that, you don't see it. My hips are all constantly swirling. Sometimes you see me do
You're
something,
doing
but
a little bit of bachata in the meantime.
maybe it's true, but it's always moving. Like, I'm not sitting still. I'm sitting here on a chair and it's not comfortable. So I need to move. And some people say you're restless. Yes, of course. The chair is uncomfortable. Of course I'm restless, but it's a good thing. Just, it's also to be more creative, Julie. That's why it's important to find this creativity in physical movement. And I'm also now more opening up for just being more like a creative coach when it comes to movement. And then instead of only physical coach, like short sessions where I can say to people like, what are you doing in your day? I sit, I go to my work, I sit, eat, sitting at the lunch table, I get up, sit in my car, go home, and go in my couch directly. It's like sitting. Okay, then we can start working around that. Like, do some push-ups, do some squats, start doing some movement, work with your spine. And slowly, you will feel like the creativity will come more and more. It's like I said with my brother, I just gave him a push-up. I said, just start doing push-ups, and now he's doing crunches and he's starting to run.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's his own thing. I just gave him the first
Push up.
push-up.
What is actually something that you feel that people should like really know when it comes down to the movement, health, sustainability in general? What is your message in this regard?
I think it's just start doing something. Something is better than nothing. Don't be so hard on yourself. You don't need to grind 3-4 times a week in the gym to get stronger. It has its time and its place to do that. I'm not against it, just FYI. So don't people think like he's against gym or this and no, it's not about that. It's about trying to implement it during the day constantly and be mindful of what you do. Like maybe just the best thing to start, especially for the people who are listening to this podcast, is when you wake up, what are you not doing? If you're in your bathroom and brushing your teeth just with your hand, you're not moving your body. You're only moving your hand because you need to brush your teeth. But try to think about the things you're not doing. When you're sitting and eating, what are you not doing? You're not moving. You can implement these small tweaks here and there. Or just like analyze your own day. Just wake up one day and just look at how much you move actually. And then you will see it's crazy. For example, you said it, walk up the stairs. By accident, I heard this a couple of days ago that only 2% of the population take the stairs. 2% is nothing.
Yeah, true.
I do a hybrid.
Yeah. Eight.
But luckily, I move a lot, so I can compensate with that, you know.
Exactly. But Burak, can you tell me us a little bit about how people can find you, where you're located? You work one-on-ones. You also work in groups. You're also working in companies. So can you tell a little bit more on where people can find you and what they can expect from working with you?
So, well, you can reach me on my website. It's www.burakbalci.com. My Instagram, Burak Balci. You can't look around it. You will see a guy on his hand, legging, doing something. And yeah, I have a studio in Ghent, the Raas van Haverstraat, 18A. It's a really nice, cozy, small studio. I did it on purpose, not too big, so I can have this moment alone with my clients so they can feel home there and feel safe. And I think it's also a very important topic. And what people can expect is most of the times I will just explain you a little bit. I have like a basic plan that I follow that I use to train for myself.
Is this the MOVA system that you're going to talk about right now?
No, that's actually more my philosophy. It's where we're talking. That's a funny side track.
Okay.
But what I did is just like the training that I used to do. Well, I still do actually. And I use that same training to assess people at the same time. Sometimes, a lot of times in the training, I look at how they move and then I start to do some postural work. Because when we do it from the beginning, I just want people to realize the difference when they train a little bit without that work. And when I do some foot placements or hip placements, they know the difference when they do, for example, in one of the moves, I say, okay, now try to jump in the hands on the floor and they jump. Okay, now let's do some feet, like correct the hips. Let's do that. And now do the same jump. And then you see, oh yeah, I understand what you mean. So I work very like dynamic and hybrid actually. There's no one way to tackle this. So it's how it goes. Yeah. So now if you want to talk about the MOVA system.
Yes.
The MOVA is just when you start to coach like I do, I have gymnastic trainings, I have handstand training, I have locomotion training, which for me is one of the most fun things to do. But I can at the same time do some boxing training. I was experimenting with some jiu-jitsu with somebody recently. I loved it. It's very close to what I do. I like to work with maces. I like to work with rope flows. So I have a lot of tools that I have in my studio, in my mind. I have a lot of tips and tricks that I use. So I was like, when you become a coach, you're always searching like, what kind of a coach do you want to be? And that's why I changed my name, not my name, but the system into MOVA, which is just move in Portuguese. It's not a training system. It's more like a philosophy. It's more like
Beautiful.
what I think. And I think it's more important because there is a lot of systems out there, and that's good. And I just took that name because I like it. It says a lot. I like it's short. But on the end of the day, it's about the philosophy, about all the tools I have, all the tricks, the tricks I have, all the tips I can give people to just feel better. Even if it's 1%, it's for a lot of people that's a huge win.
Yes, because we always want it now and we want it fast, and we are at the letter of the alphabet A, and how can we get to Z as fast as possible? But oftentimes we forget that even at like the letter D, it's already such a huge difference, and it's necessary to be very present and conscious of like the small steps that you're taking along the way, because it's not about like one big moment. It's about all these small improvements and all the small steps in the process that we take that actually results into something bigger.
Yeah, and it's super important what you said. We want to have everything super fast. Then I always say to a lot of people, like, what's the rush?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody is 35, where are you going? I mean, you still have a whole life. Like, don't rush it. Just go along the way. And like I said, you can do the whole CrossFit, you can do the whole intense stuff, but everything has to be balanced. If it's too much CrossFit, it's not healthy. I met people who were who were 34, who were CrossFit athletes, who said like, I regret I did it. My heart is like a 60-year-old now. The body is broken completely because it's too intense. So it's a mix. It's a mix of everything. Even playing with some tennis balls can mean the world for some people. As long as they smile and they're happy and they're having fun, then they must be doing something good, right?
Yeah, and also what that means to the system, because if we we need to we need to have some discipline and we need to push our comfort zone a little bit. But also when you look at it from a nervous system standpoint, is that it's even more important to feel very regulated while we are doing that. That's how we build capacity and how we start to feel safe also in our body when we move. Because for a lot of people, moving it feels like unconsciously, it feels very unsafe to the system. Very dangerous.
Yeah, because it's like I said, physical training is actually serious stuff
Mm-hmm.
because you put your body under stress and
Mm-hmm.
tension, and if your limit is already here, then where are you pushing that? And then you have to drop that whole system. That system needs to calm down, and then once you start building up from here, I had moments, Julie, when I relaxed so much that I couldn't do 5 push-ups anymore.
Yeah, you collapsed.
Yeah, because it was too like, wow, what happened? Everything went
Mm-hmm.
down. And I had to rebuild the push-up. Now, maybe people will say, something's wrong with me. I can't do push-ups anymore. No, maybe my body just relaxed and the muscles start to work on a different way.
Mm-hmm.
It came back very fast because it was more because of my nervous system who was fired up that I could do those 5 push-ups
Mm-hmm.
or 10 push-ups. Doesn't even matter, but I think you understand what I mean,
Yes, exactly.
It
Yeah.
was strange. But then you start to realize, oh wait, my body relaxed. I can't do the push-ups anymore like I did yesterday. But you have to do the work a little bit for that.
Is there anything else that you would love to say? One last thing as like a golden tip or some advice or
There are so many things we can say. I think we tackled a lot of very interesting topics. I also just want to say, just move, just move. Whatever you do, just move. It's better than nothing. We can go so deep in this topic that we can talk about this for hours and hours. And I will probably repeat a lot of the same things that I have been saying, because on the end of the day, it's always the same. If you're always sitting and not moving, you're going to pay the price for that. And maybe you want that, and that's fine. But most people don't want it. I don't believe there is really anybody who says like, I don't want it. Maybe, but I don't know them at least. But just like, try to take care of your body. It's nice. It can do a lot of nice things. Once I'm 43, I'm training handstands. I'm playing with stuff. I'm stronger now than I was at 30. So that's a good thing to have. I'm super grateful that I can still move the way I move today. Would it be easier if I started early? Yeah, hell yeah, I was probably a handstand specialist by now. But it doesn't matter. I'm super happy and grateful that I can still do the way that the moves I do today as I do it. It could have been worse.
Mhm.
So be grateful. Let's move. Just go. Don't stop.
Thank you so much, Burak. That was a beautiful message.
Thank you, Julie, for having me also. I really
Yes.
enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And I hope that you guys learned a lot and can start to move a little bit and add some movement snacks and nuggets to your days. And we are very curious about, what literally and figuratively, what moved you in this episode. So you can always leave something in the comments. And even if you think about somebody that could really benefit from this episode, be a good friend, be a good family member, and send them this episode their way.
And one final thing, maybe that's also nice. If you go on Instagram or on YouTube and you look movement coaches, there are a lot of free content of free exercises that everybody shares that you can do. So there is already a lot of content to start with. And if you're confused, just send me a DM and I will help you find somebody. Thank you, Julie.
Let's do some squats.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.